Hey, folks, welcome back to Crypto Heartbeat. My name is Matt. It's 1 o'clock Central Texas time. Are you pumped up? You're like, no, I'm not pumped up. Everything's crashing around me, and I'm fighting with everyone on Twitter. That's pretty much what I think is happening right now. You know what? After this stream, I guarantee you, you are going to be very, very encouraged because I am super encouraged. Probably one of the most significant things to come out of Richard Hart's mouth, I suppose, to me is the greatest indicator that we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And I'm going to make a case for that today, and you're going to be excited. You are. You really are. In the face of everything, right? The contrarian view. If you're in this community, you're already a contrarian. You understand what's at stake, sovereignty, freedom, all of that stuff. I am really excited. And I've been excited before, but this is different because this has got evidence backing it up. So you need to stop. You need to share this. You need to subscribe. You need to like it. All of those things, which I normally don't remind you to do. But this is really important because, folks, what attracts people is the green candles. And you're like, well, they're down, man. Everything's down. There's this huge crash. There was a flash crash down to $8,900 Bitcoin on one of the exchanges. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, folks. Get ready. This is going to be a good one. But before we do that, I just want to share with you, if you saw the thumbnail, maybe you came in. Maybe you're somebody in crypto and you're like, did Richard Hart work out? Is he really getting ripped in the bear market? I'm not sure, but shout out and hat tip to Hexo a while back. He showed me this app. Look at this app, folks. Look at Richard Hart here. I want to show you this. So this is called artflow.ai. If you're somebody who creates memes, you want to do stuff in the ecosystem, I'm going to show you the photos that I've created of Richard Hart. So you can program this AI. It's called artflow.ai. Okay. Artflow.ai. And I just want to show you some of the things that I've put together. So I took a bunch of pictures of Richard Hart. I screen grabbed his face from different angles, and I trained the AI to be Richard Hart, right? Because I wanted to create these Richard Hart memes and all this stuff. So very, very cool. Free app, I believe. Yeah, free app. So you need to check this out. It's super cool. You could put yourself in there. You could do anything you wanted, right? And it makes these really, really cool AI images. And of course, I don't know if Richard Hart looks like this under his baggy shirts, but there's a possibility, I suppose. You could imagine if you'd like. But how crazy is this? So which image did I use? I'm trying to think of which one I used. I used this one here. So this is the Richard Hart. What did I say? Flexing his muscles with an intense look on his face, right? So you just put in this stuff. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, this one's pretty good. Some of the, if we do a calendar, we'll have to put these on it. Look at this. Is this one? It's just funny how AI does different things. It looks so serious there, right? And then I've got Richard Hart with the gun, right? He's got the gun. This is like him shooting. I've got Richard Hart, and check this out. This is with him holding scissors, but it gave him like 6 fingers. Look at this. This is the funny thing about AI. Look at this. Let's count the Richard Hart fingers. A thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers plus a thumb. So he's what is that, pterodactyl or something? I'm not sure what that's called. But it's just funny the kind of things that AI will do. I've got Richard Hart sitting on a pile of gold. Richard Hart near a pump jack, which it doesn't do a very good job with the pump jacks. I noticed that I did one of him smiling. I'm like, that doesn't look like Richard Hart smiling, does it? No, that's not what he looks like. So those were kind of a bust. I had him on a bicycle. Look at him back in the early 1900s. There's Richard Hart there on a bicycle, pumping up something on this bicycle. Here's Richard Hart with he's going to the moon. That's a pretty good one. And then here's him counting his money. That's always a good one, looking very serious, counting money at the table. I think he has 5 fingers there. And then this is him, kind of a revolutionary guy. This is him as a king. I did one meme with him on, I think I used this one here. But this is super awesome. I mean, it's amazing what it'll do. This is him as like in an Italian restaurant. You got to come kiss the ring. This is him. Isn't it crazy? And then these are the auto-generated ones that they did. Him like at a desk as a nerd. Anyway, Thought that'd be interesting for you to see. But let's get into the content, the reason that we're actually here. But I encourage you, if you want to make memes of anything and you want to use AI, you can train it. And now they can do two characters in one. So it's super awesome. Artflow.ai. All right. Before we get started, let's say hello to you, and then we'll listen to Richard Hart himself because I want you to hear this clip of him. I got a really good show planned for you. Rafoon, dang, I didn't know he's wearing, oh, yeah, he's wearing baggy clothes. He's so humble. He hides his pump. Absolutely. This community has the opportunity to do something very special. We must unite for the pump. There you go. Taryn, if Richard Hart is seriously in good shape, imagine how much more effective and impactful he'd be. Amen to that. Are gym gains inversely correlated with chart gains? I don't know. Maybe. Sam Kemp, thanks for being here. 50 calories, like PLS and PLSX and Hex crashing doesn't get anyone pumped. That's why we're doing this stream, because people are down. I got to remind them that it's going to be okay, because this is it. What did he say? 50 weeks to shake out the weak hands. What does that mean? When is the happening, folks? 420. Oh my goodness. Freddie Coates is so happy about that. The happening is going to be on 420, right? The irony of all irony in this community. But what is he doing? He's waiting to shake this stuff out. Time, my friends, time. Ego Foundation, what's going on? Coin is here. Crypto Compassion, Ron Schuler, super pumped for launch. Oh, okay. We can shill other tokens in this. Crypto Elite, what's going on? Hazel Hex, good to see you. I feel good about my crypto choices. That's good. Well, you'll feel better after this. What's up, DCR? Magnus, no running with scissors. That's the truth. Glad to hear you today, Crypto Heartbeat. I've reposted as many who are feeling the pain could do with listening. Yes, to your common sense. Well, I'm going to share with you what I think is incredible. It's incredible. The original Hex swimmer. What is going on? Welcome back. Howdy. Where are you? It's raining. No, this is actually a 4K television behind me, and that's not actually where I'm at. That'd be pretty cool though if it was. Looks really cool. But yeah, this is just my setup in my studio here. All right, so check this out. This is Richard Hart talking about Hart's Law. So let's check it out. Let's see which one it is right there.
So if you're going to do that, wear an absorbing layer. Will p-hex equalize to e-hex instantly or over a long period? We should get into the habit of just calling hex on PulseChain hex and then hex on Ethereum e-hex. So there isn't technically a p-hex, but I do understand how people are kind of using them now since, we don't have a mainnet up for PulseChain yet. So, it's up to the market. Hex on Pulse Network has a strong competitive advantage in that you don't have to pay fees. It's very nice. So I think it's more valuable, but we'll see what the market thinks. And then, there isn't a hex e-hex pair, but there might be one day. And then how many people add liquidity to that, right? Hart's Law indicates that the price of assets move together with each other versus the dollar because they're bonded together by the liquidity in their trading pairs. If they trade versus each other, which was the first sentence, right? So the more liquidity you see bonding hex and e-hex together, the more likely their prices are to be moving together. But just because they're moving together doesn't mean that they can't shift and have a gap and then hold that gap and then move together, but with a gap, with one being more valuable than the other. So my gut feeling is that e-hex will not be as valuable as hex on the Pulse network, but we'll see.
All right. You heard it from the boss. Now, here's why you should be so pumped. In fact, you should be jacked. All right. You probably, you may have heard this. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been living under a rock. Probably the best tweet from Richard Hart in a long time, but also it's the longest one too. So let's walk through this together because this is huge. This is what everybody's been talking about, but this is proof, in my opinion, from the horse's mouth of what's really about to happen. Okay. So There are people with the lettuce hands that are getting shaken out, right? As Somi would say, the soy boys. Don't be one of them. Okay. So that's why you're here. You need to read between the lines, but he doesn't even make this very difficult to understand. You don't have to understand it technically. You just have to understand in general what he's saying. Because think about this. The amount of time it took Richard Hart to write this tweet and to get it right is significant. And so that matters to him that you know this information. So let's look at what he has to say. And I think it's funny. He talks about himself in the third person. Richard Hart teaches you about guessing price moves based on PulseX liquidity. And I think this is coming from all these people thinking that they know how Hart's Law works. And it says price moves as a square. Take, for instance, the WPLS die pair. It has 22.3 million die in it. If you double the die, the price goes up 4x. It's a square. However, this would make the WPLS in that pair more expensive than in the ETH, USDC, and USDT pairs. So arbitrage bots would sell it down and buy the cheaper pairs, making up the difference, which is why smart whales, and I think what he's saying is I'm a smart whale, spread pressure across all the pairs, leaving less arbitrage opportunities, thus getting better deals. The PLS for the money, for the dollar. So think about this for a second. This is him saying, let me explain to you dum-dums about how price moves as it relates to Hart's Law and the bonding of liquidity. And, at the end of the day, it's math based on an automated market maker. This is very straightforward, but he's explaining to people how this works. Thus, how might one guess how much price would move up based on dollar input? You have to add up the money or the dollars in DAI, ETH, USDC, USDT versus the WPLS pairs. Every time you double that money, the price moves 4x. If people remove liquidity, the numbers go up and down easier. If they add liquidity, the volatility is reduced. So the more that's there, obviously, it doesn't move as much. Don't click any links. Okay, so that's him just warning about scams. Now, here's what he says. $49 million is sitting bid side for PLS in the PLSX V1 across DAI, ETH, USDC, USDT currently. So that's the total across the pairs in V1. So another 49 million, if you doubled it, it would be a 4x in price. Another 441 million would be 100x in price. Okay, stop the presses right there. Why? These are choices that he's made. Right. He's making a point of, I think he's tipping his hat to us. I really do. I think that when he talks about 441 million, that there was 600 million in DAI sitting on Ethereum side. This is from the SAC wallet, right? So that's that's not even the total amount, but that's 441 million would be 100x in price. So I just want to stop for a second and I want you to think about this for a moment. What if you had 100x? Now, there's a lot of variables in all this, but if you just stopped and thought about it for a second, take your total SAC value, right? And understand that, depending on how people count X's, but let's just say from this moment right now, you took the total dollar value of your Pulse and PulseX SAC and you multiplied it by 100. Now, just think about that number for a second. Are you happy? I mean, what are you looking for? This is what Richard's saying, right? And why would he be saying this? It's because I've been paying attention since the very beginning. I've been here through the entire bear market. We know how Hex went up 10,000x. It's not by accident, folks. Here's the thing you have to realize is that there are all these people who look at the people when it just hit. He put in $14 million into PulseX to get it back to day one SAC, and everybody just ate it all up. Just, these are the soy boys breaking even because they're chasing other things. Richard wants those people to go elsewhere. It's interesting. If you look back into the adoption amplifier of Hex was built, I think, probably on about 1,000 people. That's about it. The true believers are the ones that he wants to reward. The people's lives he wants to change are the ones who actually understand what's going on. I see what's going on. But there's so much more to this because you don't realize when you've built your own layer one and the fact that the price is so low and it's so new and there's so many people that have copied coins over there and there's so many new projects, The impact of this kind of price move is tremendous. But think about that for a second. He wrote this tweet himself and he made this point. Another 441 million would be 100x in price if it all happened in a single order across those four pairs. Now, it's not exact because our bots and other market participants buy and sell along the way, and there's other quite small pairs to ARB with two, like PulseX V2. As far as guessing goes, it's quite and good. Oh yeah, it's quite a good and mathematical guess. Okay, so basically, there's a lot of other factors in this, but at the end of the day, if you double it, it's 4x. If you do 440, 10x, you get 100x in price. Okay. That's important. That's the first thing he's sharing. So he says, what's the core lessons? There's 4 core lessons. Lots of people talk a lot, but have no idea what they're talking about. 2, prices in PulseX are very mathematically defined. 3, some info sites show you one side of liquidity as some show 2x as much as they can count both sides of liquidity. So what he's saying is sometimes when you see things, you see a total liquidity amount, and that's essentially the thing you paired with and the thing, right? So Hex and ETH, for example, or whatever it is you're pairing with. So it's counting both sides, even though one side of that, you may have gotten for free, for example. Okay. But the point is, some are counting half, one side, and some are counting both sides. The liquidity you see for the Pulse versus PulseX shouldn't be used to guess price moves based on dollar input, because the dollar inputs you're talking about would come via ETH, USDT, USDC, and DAI. So what he's saying, it's in dollar terms. So if you're looking at ratios between Pulse and PulseX, you're not seeing the same thing, right? He's saying that the dollar value as it relates to the total amount that's in the pool for ETH, USDT, USDC, and DAI. But wait, there's more. Reflexivity. Because most things are paired with WPLS, their prices versus the dollar fly up as well when WPLS goes up. Hart's Law. The price of things that trade versus each other rise and fall together as they're bonded by the liquidity in their order books. This is the big news. This is the big news of this whole thing. So, for example, I have people, whenever I do these streams and I'm talking about the PulseChain, many people come to me, they're like, what about Texan, right? And many of we launched a project for the Texas Nationalist Movement to tokenize a community of people. It's called Texan. And they're like, why aren't you shilling Texan? I don't have to shill Texan. I've got a whole community, 500,000 people that are doing that. I don't shill Texan. We launched Texan. I support Texan. I'll talk about Texan when it's important to talk about Texan. But Texan's value is tied directly to the Pulse chain, which is tied directly to Hart's Law to WPLS. Why do I know it's going to be fine? Because a rising tide lifts all boats. I don't have to shill it, right? Do I believe in it? Yes. Would some people like me to? Sure. There'll be times when I do a stream that's focused exclusively on Texan. But more importantly, I want you to see this is a community of people together and project builders. You're all going to win. I mean, think about this for a second. You've got all these other projects that are out there on the Pulse chain, right? They create value, and then they pair it with PLS or anything else in the Richard ecosystem on the Pulse chain. And what do you get when you pair it with that? So let's say you took $100,000 worth of, and that's what the liquidity you have here in PLS. Well, what happens when the PLS 100x's? You have 100 times the liquidity. Now, it's not exact. That's if there's no trading. And there's going to be people who in every project dump, and there's going to be people who buy. But the point is this rising tide is the thing that people are attracted to. But here's the key. If there's anything Richard Hart knows, it's timing. It's just not time yet, folks. Everybody is so antsy. I've been like super antsy. When's it going to go? When's it going to pump? I'm seeing everything happen in crypto and, all-time high in Bitcoin. Folks, we're going to look at the Bitcoin halvening chart here in a minute. I know there's all kinds of people talking about all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, we've got so many variables that make it look really good for us. Number one, we have a founder who delivered. He delivered Hex. He delivered the Pulse chain. And it's running, right? No downtime, right? It's running. You may be unhappy with the price chart or whatever, but you've got to understand this is a cycle, and this cycle hasn't really gotten to the point where it's a euphoric frenzy. But if you think about the amount of time, when you look at Hex, for example, in the last cycle, and when it ran as hard as it ran, it wasn't that long. And what's interesting about this is why would Richard throw good money into exit liquidity for, paper-handed people? What he wants is he wants you to feel the FOMO of Solana's moving up, and what about the Bonk token? And what about pork? And what about all these other things? That he wants you to be weak, and he wants you to chase stuff, and he wants you to go away. So go away. That's it. Because here's the thing, when it all comes down to it, this glory thing that Richard Hart wants, and that's the other piece of this. This is the psychology of Richard Hart that is huge in this. He's not out for the money. He would love for you to get rich. But here's the thing, he doesn't want people accidentally getting rich. And let me explain that. He doesn't want ungrateful people. He wants people that appreciate what he has done, because this isn't something that just happens by accident. It happens because he's smarter than everyone. And that's what he wants to show everyone, is that, hey, I've been rich for all this time. I've levered up in all of these things, made good decisions. I, got $1.6 billion. There's 600 million a DAI sitting there. He knows how to deploy it. He knows how to protect price, but you want him to just hand it to you. Well, there's all these people. He needs the FOMO, right? He needs the separation between all these other things that are going bananas to suck the people that are not there for the right reasons out. And that's what's happening right now. And you can be sad about it. And I understand, right? I understand people like, I want an Oompa Loompa and I want them now. But the problem is it's not time yet. And we've said this many times, right? The halvening is the number one event. We're 1 month away from the halvening. It's projected to be 420. That's April 20th. It's March 19th. Okay. So it's going to be around that time. So you got to keep that in mind. But look at what Richard's telegraphing to you, right? The dum-dums and the degens don't read this stuff. They just think, oh, this is just some long email or tweet that's too long to read. Let's keep going on this because it's huge. This is absolutely huge. And that's why I'm here to remind you there's so much more to this. But he can't make it more plain. But in some respects, to people that don't recognize what's going on, this is a parable and they don't see it. They don't see the meaning behind it because they don't read. But wait, there's more. Long story short, as you can see by the massive price movements up recently in PLS, PLSX, Hex, and Inc., it really doesn't take many millions to cause quite large movements up. So he's saying when he deployed that $14 million, it had a big impact on PulseX. Remember that? And of course, the other tokens. But these things are all bonded together as well. You can literally see the money in and the chart movements. It's obvious, measurable, and mathematically defined. What is he saying? I think what he's saying is, I'm smart. I know what's going on. These idiots out there, don't listen to them. Let me educate you and relax. Here's the thing, folks. Richard Hart, if you know the psychology of Richard Hart, and he's said this many times, he's in it for the glory. What is the glory? He wants to go down in history as the king of crypto. Well, what does that mean? He wants to be the person who protected people. He's the one that literally warned you about everything that was going to scam you. He wants to be the guy who was the good guy in crypto. Now, a lot of you are like, well, he's got harsh language and he twerks. Folks, he has a really good chance of going down in history. He warned about FTX and Celsius and BlockFi and all that stuff. He warned that stuff. You know he did. But that's the thing. All these people like Eric Wall, right? These barnacle people who are trying to siphon from Richard Hart. He knows what he's doing. He's got to get these people that are weak-handed out, right? And have them sell now. But if you don't understand that this is a cycle, now if it's Christmas time, and I do a stream like this, you can chew me out. You say, hey man, it's Christmas, man, and nothing's happened, and it's just been going down. Trust me, it's not going to be going down through Christmas. But we're just so impatient, right? We've waited for so long, and we're seeing other things pump, and we're like, oh no, what's going to happen? It's not time. You need that. It's FOMO, folks. You need them to chase things, right? And that's why you see this happen with all of these meme coins that are coming onto the Pulse chain. He warned about that too. There's going to be people coming in, shaking something in front of your face. And it's part of the reason that I'm not on here doing a Texan stream, frankly, because I trust the process and know that when it's bonded in liquidity with PLS, it moves up with it. I'm not to shill it. It's not a meme coin. What we're doing with Texas Independence is not a meme. But the meme people are trying to get your money and shake it in front of your face so that you jump off of your position in Pulse and PulseX and go into something else. And then what do? They're the ones that have the paid group, right? They're the ones that have the paid group with a group of people that knew that the project was going to come out in advance, get you to go, oh, I'll just swap into this thing. And as soon as you do and this thing runs, they dump on your head. Whether they rug or not, that's the whole point. They are extracting value from you. And they convince you of this. Oh man, nothing's happening with Richard Hart tokens, so you need to trade with us. Well, trading will get you wrecked. That's what Richard has told us since the very beginning. And there's all these people. I mean, it's a blockchain. They come in with all of these different meme tokens to try to get your money. And that's how it works, right? You've got to be able to discern the difference between these things. But if you've been paying attention, you realize timing is everything. And so Richard's reinforcing that in this tweet. All right, let's see what else he says. But wait, there's even more. If you're a ratio trader and swapping from the PLS, PLSX, Hex, and DAI amongst themselves without the need to touch stables or ETH pairs, then your slippage is quite less. So what is he saying? So if you're a ratio trader, you can have less slippage because there's so much more liquidity in those pairs amongst themselves versus those things that are paired with stables or ETH. Do you see what he's saying there? What he's saying is if you go into a pair that is PLS, PLSX, right? They're paired with each other versus with a stable, you get less slippage. That's some wisdom, which is why you shouldn't use those pairs to guess price moves. So what he's saying is what he saw out there is people are like, they're looking at the ratios, determining what the value is, and they're not looking at it against the dollar value, which is more represented with the stables and with ETH and with USDC and USDT, based on the inputs from stables and ETH pairs, as you would greatly misguess the price moves to the small side. See that? So this is new money in that's coming in essentially from the pairs that are essentially already established in price, not the ratios between the two. Prices have moved up a lot with quite less than hundreds of millions of buys because people are bad at math. I just love his humor. Not financial advice. Past performance is no guarantee of future. Good luck with your guessing. And then, of course, he puts these charts in with liquidity and pairs and to show you how thick things are. Okay. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important tweets that we've ever gotten about what is going to happen this cycle. And I'm so glad there's 256 people in here. I'm thankful. This is like the old days of the bull run. Folks, you should be encouraged. Read this, understand it, but more importantly, understand what's behind it. And that's what I'm hopefully trying to encourage you with. It's not about what, go to GoPulse and, oh man, things are down. I understand day to day, you're like bummed out. Richard Hart wants the glory and he's going to get it. How's he going to get it? You think he's just going to let his baby languish? I mean, think about it for a second, folks. Here's a guy who really cares what the people that really understand crypto think. He wants to be the defender of DeFi. He wants to support freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom to transact, freedom of privacy. These are really worthwhile things to fight for. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the world of politics, but this is some of the most important things for the future of freedom in the world. Well, the money is what drives these things. We're creating this alternative financial system, and this is the rails in which it's going to be built on. It's not OFAC compliant. It's completely decentralized. And Richard Hart's the kind of guy who's not going to compromise. So you've got not only good thinking and methodology and principles behind it, you've got a guy who's smarter than everyone else and is sitting on a ton of money. That's a hell of a combination, folks. But you got to understand, we're not to the halvening yet. So speaking of that, let's share this. Present screen. The Bitcoin halvening chart. All right. So let's take a look at this. This is a live active Bitcoin chart. This is bitbo.io halvening progress. Okay, so what we're looking at is the last 4 cycles. So this starts out in 2009, And so if we look at the 2013 through 2016-ish and look at where the halvening is, and we see where does this go? And just be super simple. After each halvening, what happened? Well, prior to that, we had pumps prior to things, but where did we get the run, right? The bull run. We had this double top here, and this is that COVID, the COVID dip, if you will. And look where we are. Okay, so we're back to the previous high. Okay, so let's just look here. So let's take a look at 20. This is 2014, and then let's look where it crossed. Right, this is essentially where we are. Well, we've already crossed here. So if you think about, we're not even to here. I'm going to zoom in. We're not to the halvening yet, and so in a way, everyone is so impatient. We're about 30 days away. There is more time in this bull market. And obviously, things haven't really rolled into the altcoins. All this money's been pushed in, right? This is really the first major correction since the Bitcoin ETFs have gone out. Tons more money's getting pushed in. And folks, you don't have to be like a rocket scientist to see that. Wherever you go now, people are like, yeah, I heard that Bitcoin thing's doing pretty bad. It looks like crypto's kind of coming back. We haven't even gotten to the point where there's any sort of frenzy at all, right? And so relax. And in a way, the more it can look like you should drop your bags and run somewhere else, the better it's going to be for us long term, because we want to get those people who are non-believers out. It's just a shaking out, 50 weeks to shake out the weak hands. We're coming up on it. Got about a month. So chill. Because, I mean, it's very, very simple. If you've ever created anything in your life, think about a kid. I got kids, and when they were little, they'd make something in their class, right? And so they would make you know, something in art class when they were in elementary school. And I'd come home from work, and the girls would have their drawings, right? And they would run up, Daddy, look what I made, right? And they would hand it to me, and I would look at that thing. And what is a dad supposed to do? And what did I do? Oh my gosh, this is, and right, I get down and I'd be like, oh my goodness. And I would ask them about it. And they're so proud. They're like, oh my goodness, look at this. And this is this. And I'd ask them questions about it, and they would just beam. Why? Because who we are made to create. And Richard Hart has created something, and his fingerprints are all over it. And I'm not saying he's a little girl with a painting, but what he's created is something that, when you've put so much time, energy, and effort into something, and not only did you not give up after you got a 10,000x out of one of the best cryptocurrencies in this last cycle, but you decided to make it even better by literally forking Ethereum, what do you end up with? Something that you care about. And then all these people, all of us, right? We're out here hustling this thing, right? Saying, hey, man, keep an eye on it. Remember this stuff. But there's a lot of people. I mean, most of the people in this world are kind of fair weather friends. And the people that win are the ones that hang on. And he said it a million times. The people that make money in crypto are founders and holders. The people that are selling, that make the chart look red, are sellers. Okay? That's it. And so if you think about this, Richard Hart in his tweet said, $441 million, if you bought it in one, would be 100x. 100x. What's 100x look like for you? And you could break it down a number of different ways. And that's assuming that no one sells. And obviously people will. But what happens when people see things running? It sucks in value. But it's hard to change a trend, right? So if Bitcoin's running, it's hard to go, oh, look over here at these altcoins. They go in cycles, and you see these waves. Bitcoin does it first, then Ethereum, and then the alts, right? There's a season for these things. And so the problem is the weak-handed rookies in all of this look at Bitcoin moving and they jump to Bitcoin, or they see something happening with some meme coin that's doing something, or AI tokens, or whatever it may be. And a lot of this stuff is artificially pumped to get your attention, right? It's like drawing you off sides. It's a hard count, right? It's the football terminology, drawing you off sides. It's the hard count. So they're like, look at this thing. And well, if you really look behind that, who's buying it, right? Who's pumping? It's all manipulated. Well, what is Richard talking about, right? Intentional manipulation to the upside, because he knows that people chase green candles. They buy tops and sell bottoms. So he wants them to do that. Sell the bottom. Sell now. And if you're somebody that's at any point negative and oh man and bummed out, sell now, please. Get out now. Because you're just weak. But if you actually understand what's going on, this is what the OG Hexicans saw, and they're brilliant for doing it. It wasn't me. I came in 2 days before big payday and I didn't put much in. But I saw how incredible this is. But those aren't the people that win, right? The people that are jumping all over the place and chasing, flashy things. And I think the worst thing is when it's in our community with people that have earned trust and they build things and shake them in your face, right? And so that's why I'm not shilling Texan, right? This is why I'm saying Texan and its community will take care of itself. It's people outside of this ecosystem. I want to thank you for being a part of it. You've been supportive of Texan, great. But the people that are going to make Texan great do not exist in the PulseChain community right now. It's new people, and that's coming, right? But it's a function of timing. Folks, everything is changing in the financial system, right? We're going to CBDCs, these central bank digital currencies. That's what everything is going digital. And so we have to have an alternative. So to me, there's too many things stacked up in our favor. Number one, a principled leader. Two, that's smart, that has a bunch of resources, who needs the glory, not the money. He's advocating for people and he believes that the community is his legacy. What else do you want? How much more do you want? Do you want him to be ripped and look like Schwarzenegger? Pump you up? What do you want? That's what I have. 309 people here. We've set a new record for, this is clearly the bull run is coming. So thank you for being here. If you were here, please say hello in the chat. Please subscribe. I mean, there's a bunch of new people here. I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to say hello to you in the chat. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, or confessions, I'd be happy to take those in the chat. But it's so good to see you here. A lot of people are over on X, or formerly known as Twitter. So glad that you're tuning in. But folks, don't miss what Richard Hart said in his tweet yesterday. Do not miss it. Go through it again. Understand it. You're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the timing is right, the timing will be right. But I actually, every time I see some new thing pumping, I'm so glad, because I know that it's going to pull people out. And then there's just going to be a cost to getting rid of those people, right? The soy boys. So what he does is he pushes some liquidity and pushes some buys in. But then on the flip side, understand what he's doing. He's not putting direct money in. He's putting yield in. He put all that into what? Spark and Maker to get yield. You put that kind of money into yield, what is it? $800,000 to $1 million a month in yield only, not principal, yield. You start doing those kind of buys. Richard Hart, when you see what's happening behind the scenes, the guy's a genius. And if it makes sense, why would you use your own money when you can use the yield? And so what I'm really excited about is the fact that, I don't know about you, I'm a competitive person. So if we were to go, play some sort of game, let's say we went to Top Golf, I'm the kind of guy who would be competitive with you, right? Does that mean I win every time? No. But Richard Hart is also the same way. And I think what is so viscerally at the core of him is he knows he's right. And all these people that are talking smack and all that stuff, he's got a lot of patience, and he's going to show them, because the charts don't lie. And he always lamented the fact that, people that were scamming other people had way more followers than him, but he wouldn't compromise that. And he wouldn't sell you on, affiliate links or, talking you into trading or anything like that. Took the high road. And what do you see, right? Was the marketing that he did, right? All the buying of all the stuff, was that effective? Maybe, maybe not. It grew his followers. But I think what we're going to see in this next run is there can't just be a slow bleed out. It's impossible, right? It's impossible because Richard Hart knows how to show the haters who is right. That's what it's all about. All right, who's here? Let's say hello to you. Frosty Dog. What's up, Frosty Dog? Yeah, buddy. Sun, surf, and bikinis. That sounds like Frosty Dogs. I mean, yeah, I'm jacked, man. You got to be jacked because you're always in the pool. What's up, Hexonium? Good to see you. Francis Powell is here. Hello, all. Crypto Prophet. Crypto Wisdom right here. Listen up, boys and girls. Academaciated back again. Thanks for being here. My $1 million bet is winning. Richard Hart's hex will not reach 50 cents. Can't wait. So you have a $1 million bet. Now, what are the terms of that? So from 6 months ago. So it won't. Which one is it? Is it the combined? Is it Pulse? Is it EHEX? If you bet it on EX, you're winning. You're not going to, it was from 6 months ago. So what was the term of that? That'd be interesting to know. But thanks for tuning in, man. Even if you're, hoping that it doesn't do well. Grandpa Pulse. Hey, everyone. John Clow, what's up, man? Hey, Matt from Hot Smoky, Honduras. All right, everyone hold on tight to the plan. Don't get distracted and entice into falseness. That's a good point. Patience, grasshopper. What is that? From Kane from Kung Fu, and take math classes while you wait. Richard Hart is just, talk about an education. I've gotten such an education from him over the years. Oh, yes. Those who have abandoned their own dreams will discourage yours. Amen to that, Hexonium. Those who have abandoned their own dreams will discourage yours. Swissverse, what's up? Walter Hard, hello. Moons, what's going on? We have 606.66 hex addresses today. Well, hey, there might be something there. Paul Op 7, what's going on? Anthony, hello, Heartbeat and friends. What's up, Anthony? Guatemala is in the house. Man, oh man, it's so great to have friends across the world. And go Texans. Mike, I appreciate you being here. Folks, 332 people here. It is like the olden days, 333 to just make it perfect. Anthony, what's going on? Let's say hello to you. If you got questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Confessions are welcome as well. Crypto Compassion, what a great supporter. John Boy himself. Imagine Richard wanting Hex to be a cycle one altcoin only. Well, all-time high. One all-time high coin only. Yeah. No, he's going to have, dude, this is so amazing with Pulse and PulseX. I mean, the implications of having our own layer one. So I say this a lot, but all these projects that are building on this are pairing with Pulse, right? And I always, share this as, imagine you're on this big fishing boat, right? And you're going out with your buddies. You got, got everything ready to go. Got the coolers full. You're ready to go on a deep sea fishing deal. And imagine you got like 10 buddies on this big yacht. You guys are super excited to be hanging out together, and you only have one fish in line. You would never do that, right? You know that putting multiple lines in the water is the key to catching them, right? You don't go out there and there's 10 guys and one fishing pole. The same thing is true here. You weren't able to do that with Hex, but when you have things like the Pulse chain and anyone can launch things and you're paired with Pulse, PLS and Hart's Law, right? And you've got this guy behind you, right? The captain of the ship, Richard Hart. What do you end up with? All these lines in the water. So some people are like, I like independence and Texas independence. I like churches in the Philippines. I like this doggy or this kitty or whatever it may be, right? All of these lines in the water. I like wallets and I like yield and I like this and that and the other, right? There's something for everybody, but those things tickle somebody's fancy out there. There's a lot of people in this world. But having all those projects means that it's indirect marketing for the Pulse chain because you have to have Pulse to do transactions, and it pushes people to this ecosystem. So the people that are like, I'm just a Richard Hart, coin maxi. I get it, right? But also you got to realize, the way people get in could be from some random place, right? And you just never know. And it's a rising tide because in PulseX, all those transactions on PulseX, buy and burn PulseX. So you want as many lines in the water as you can possibly get. That's how I see it. Anthony Sevdra, I got to admit, the title of the stream reeled me in. Crypto Heartbeat. Dude, I told you, pumped, right? Richard Hart's jacked. Can you imagine he came back and he looked like that? I'm glad I got on today. I needed to break down the Richard Hart tweet. I read it like 9 times and was still a little stuck. To me, it's really what's behind it. Because I've watched him so much and understand it, the fact that he would take that amount of time, because there were people out there that were fudding, saying they were looking at ratio pairs and they were basically saying, yeah, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to go up. And he had to re-educate them that, hey, but why would he do that? I know what he's doing. I know what he's been planning on doing, and I saw him do it with Hex, right? Now he's got way more money to do it with. And essentially he's handing back to you your sack money and the lettuce handed guy's sack money. He's handing it back to you. That's what he's doing. And plus there's probably a lot more because there's yield. So think about that for a second. You put this away, he saved you. Many of you out there sacrificed your hex at 15 cents. That was 15-cent hex. That's what you got it at. And what's funny about this is he's just going to hand it back to you, but he's going to hand it back to you with all of the idiots gone. And then we're going to be able to go up from there. And and people will buy back in higher. That's how they do it. It's what they do. But Anthony, thank you for that, man. I think this is one of the most significant tweets. But it's like you put this in context of what he's doing, and he's just telegraphing to you, hey, and it basically confirms what I've thought all along. But it's not like you have to be a genius to figure it out. It's almost like he's yelling it at you. Hit the like button. Thank Hazel Hex. Appreciate that. Great stream, Crypto Heartbeat. Appreciate you. So, yep, slam the like, everyone. I appreciate that. It's good for the algorithm. Gets us going. We're moving, folks. We're moving. 356 people here on this stream. Thank you so much for being here, especially those of you. Something has changed in the Twitter algorithm because I'm going to tell you, Twitter has been going crazy with views. Thanks for being here live across the world. This is the PulseChain ecosystem, Richard Hart ecosystem. PulseChain is an Ethereum fork. It's exactly Ethereum. And if you had any coins on Ethereum when PulseChain launched, you have a copy on the PulseChain. So those of you who are new to this ecosystem, go into your wallet, change the RPC settings. You can go right to pulsechain.com and you can, in your MetaMask wallet, you can push the button and get the RPC settings and you will see your tokens in there. You might have to put them in through a custom token or they'll show up if you refresh the list. But you're going to be amazed. All of your tokens are copied over. And so you've got a lot of opportunity on the Pulse chain. And that's what was called the world's largest airdrop. And so, folks, if you don't know what's going on with the Pulse chain, you are missing out. And this is the perfect time. I mean, I was doing this all the way through the bear market. And then, as we were coming down. And folks, I can't emphasize how important it is to understand the timing. We're 30 days from the halvening. People are getting shaken out. This is the biggest correction in the Bitcoin ETF, right? All this money poured into the ETF and people are taking profits and it's dropped. Imagine that, right? That's how it works. But folks, things haven't heated up yet. We got an eclipse coming here soon, folks, right here in Central Texas. Late to the show, Anders, thanks for being here. Smart contract on both. Okay, so here we go. Smart contract on both, one on EHEX, 500,000, and PX, 500,000. Winning feels so good. Damien, that's great if that's how you want to win. I mean, somebody took the bet. I hope they pay it out to you if, in fact, you win. But what is winning? This is really good. And Damien, I appreciate you being here. Even the people that are haters are here and they want to see you lose. And you know what I think about? The whole purpose of crypto was not just so we could extract value from each other, right? That's why trading is so bad, because you're just stealing it from somebody else, just taking it from the guy on the other side of the screen because somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. The promise of crypto has been that we win together. The promise of crypto is to create a new ecosystem and not let the centralized players control it, to get rid of middlemen, to not have counterparty risk. Now, there are people who make stupid decisions and make bets with you, Damien. Great. They deserve to lose it. But that's not how we do it, right? That's not the long term. The long term benefit of why we're in crypto isn't the short term win of the bet, because you may win. It's more the long term of what's better for us, because the problem is the centralized players who control the money printers, right? If they don't get it in taxes, they'll get it in inflation. The system is broken and we have an alternative. And to have somebody like Richard Hart, who has got the principles and has put his money where his mouth is by creating this alternative, a non-OFAC compliant pulse chain that is properly decentralized, means we have the ability to have freedom to transact in our future. When everyone else compromises, the pulse chain will be left standing. And so to me, I will always stand on the values of freedom and sovereignty. Right? Your ability to talk, to speak, to act, to associate, to move, to have privacy. And those are the kind of things. We're just getting started, folks. This has just began. It's only just begun. Walter Hard, ask God what to invest in. Christians, can't go wrong with that. Interesting. Got a lot of things to do here, folks. Juan Manuel Fernandez, the bug was shaking out. The bug with shaking out the weak hands is that price gets so low Did we get a new bunch of weekend? Yeah, speculators. You make a point. I'm not sure that I agree because I feel like there's some big players. What happens is there's a lot of people who really need the cash that they put in, right? That's the problem with holding is that people overextend themselves and then they get in a financial or a cash bind. And so they have to sell those bottoms. And I think that squeezing those people out, I think less people, because in one, I agree with you in general, but I think that what we're dealing with here is in the sacrifice side of things, there's people who overextended themselves. And the longer you wait, those people have to sell the bottoms because they need cash. And then there were people who retired, right? That's why people joke about going back to McDonald's or something and working is because, last cycle they retired when Lambo, right? And now they're like, man, I need cash just to pay the bills. And so you're wringing those people out of the system here as you wait. But I understand what you're saying. But I think fewer people make the dumb decisions right now, whereas before, everything was like up and to the right. There was still that euphoria feeling and people sacrificed. And that's why 1.6 billion was sacrificed. And it's like there are a lot of people who can get wrung out here still. And we're seeing that. So I just don't need to be discouraged for the long term because it'd be different. Like if we miss the cycle, right? And I would be honest, if we get to, Christmas time and we're not seeing something massively moving, I'll be honest with you, right? There's a point in which I go, I guess I was wrong. But there's going to be a reason for it, right? And that is as long as Richard Hart is living and he's got access to those wallets, I think we're going to see what we've seen the whole time. But also, we're going to see all these projects who have built on this. They have vested interest in the Pulse chain doing well. And so they're going to be promoting it within their communities too. So relax. It's all good. Atlantean. What's going on? Wild SG appears. Speak it, Matt. Love hearing more positivity. Hey, we got to have it in the midst of all this, man. If you just pay attention to Twitter, you're going to be depressed. So sometimes we just have to speak it into existence. But Richard Hart is doing that, right? He's not like hiding the ball from us. Sean T-shirts. Is that right? Yeah. Is there nothing like educating someone hating and watching the epiphany happen on their face when kindly accept the apology? Lol. Abundance man. The ultimate freedom is self-sovereignty. Boom. Grab. What's up? What up, Matt? Great stream as always. Thank you, folks, for being here. 370 people. We reached the peak. I appreciate you for being here on Crypto Heartbeat, the Pulse. Folks, do not let your hearts be troubled. This is the best time to be alive in human history, even though there's wars and rumors of wars. Everything is changing. You're at the right place at the right time, and you need to hang on. Hodl, as they say, for dear life. Take care of yourself, and do not mess with Texas. Take care, everybody.